All right, coming in with some clothing design. Clothing design quick sketch. We refine the course in foundational design, and of course, continue to develop ideas in concept art for other projects we're working on. All right, we'll go through, try and do some patterning and some texturing, but try to create interesting design and textures for clothes, a mix of structural design and gestural design, which will give an example that even when you're doing something like fashion design, which could be articulated in 2 dimensions, oftentimes it gets me a lot more ideas just to see the thing from fresh angles. And then, you can always do a traditional fashion design sketch, but to draw it with motion and life and action is something that gets my ideas going. And then when you take it back to a more static sketch, guess what? It's got more life, it's got more movement, it's got more energy. And being able to add and remove shapes and define space, I think it'll turn out to be like a secret weapon when it comes to creating new ideas for fashion and working collaboratively with people that know all the other aspects of fashion design. I saw that there was a masterclass from masterclass.com. Let's see. I think it's Marc Jacobs. Does a signature fashion design course. It was really cool. I watched like the first episode of it. At the time I was like, to be able to truly focus this, where for every example and every lesson, you're going in and making like a supplementary course of homework to do at the same time, and making like a badass series of fashion design moves where you could represent the whole series right here. And then if you did it well enough, anyone that knew fashion design could, use their imagination to put your work together in their head. And if it was really good, you could either make the series, sell the series, or get hired on to continue to develop your ideas. And this would be something that'd be super cool while doing production design at the same time, while doing production design on things like films, games, comics, and the ins and out of those things, working collaboratively with different artists, designers, maybe movie stars, actors. I'm thinking of the kind of people that rep fashion design often and are also interested in the arts, collaborative ventures, investing in the arts, and expanding the scale of what they do beyond just acting. So it's like a mutually beneficial partnership. Okay, let's keep moving and try to fashion design. This is like talking fashion design so far, but we'll do sketching of fashion design as well. Yeah, no. Watching the Marc Jacobs fashion design series is like, I definitely knew that I could get into fashion design if I could focus it for a couple months. And at the time, I definitely was like, if I have the skills that I had now, I'd, destroy that shit. It was harder to draw dimensional caricatures and mannequins as quickly, as easily as it is now. So the gestural and structural drawing, I've leveled up both times, like both sides of the skill set like 100 times. Okay, try to draw a little bit more clean. I do want to give an example of dynamically like adding and subtracting from forms, which is often where you get a lot of interesting content. If you just use the same exact techniques as the other guys, you're likely to get many of the same designs. But if you switch up the mold and you're putting together lines and shapes together in ways other people wouldn't think, then like the base form, the content that you're getting, the marble, takes on unique shapes, as well as your unique sense as a designer for what looks stylish and good to you. Yeah, no, it'd be so cool. If I got a computer, I'd be happy to do like streams of Marc Jacobs design and making a fashion series. We could even do things like, look out for G-Dragon. He's one of my favorite mans. Or different, icons and designers, to be able to work collaboratively with a team that could take the ideas further. It would be a fun thing for everyone to see. If you're like, this is putting together these ideas, the hows, the whys, the, what exactly we're doing, so that you really get on the same page with it if you're interested. And then seeing a step further, another perspective, imagination, and intelligence. And I always thought like doing a series of interviews would be the best like that, where you hear someone's perspective on design and what their process is, but then you go to a different designer or a letter, or someone working on the same project collaboratively, and some of the opinions would be the same, some of them would be different, some of them would be the same but articulated in a different way that might speak to you, where the other guy was speaking and you weren't quite getting it. And a different production designer would come in, and some of their, tips and tricks, the language that they use would resonate with you, and you'd get the image that they have in their head. Like, everyone works and learns in different ways and different steps. And when you find something that's like, oh, that's easy for you, that's a good thing. It's not like you want to have to work hard. You want to work effectively. And sometimes when you start working effectively, then it is easy to put in the hours that you need to gain the experience that you need, because it'll be focused experience. And every time you level up, you'll know how and where. You'll be intentionally and deliberately applying your focus to those things, which might not look like much at first, but if you're kind of just moving and absorbing things in a kind of mindless state, where yes, you're getting better little by little by little, but if you are, I want to hone in and gain skills in this area, what are the techniques that I need to be developing, and to go back and forth between active mind, yes, you're doing specific lines, you're memorizing angles, and then you're putting them together. When you do a new base, you're taking one pose and then, pieces of different designs that you've memorized, and you're creating a new composition, and to look at your references when you need them, and to try and do it just from memory as well, so that you can build up and memorize different shapes and forms, right? It's totally a thing. It's totally a thing that, you want to learn smart. And getting into the Jim Quick course was something that I felt like I had always adopted a growth mindset from playing a lot of RPGs as a kid. It was like, you can level up any of your skills by doing specific things, right? Like, there's gonna be a most effective way for you to level up. You could spend the same amount of time, and if you're using an optimized strategy, and I think the idea of optimized strategies is pretty similar between RPG games and real life. It's like, if you look at a side-by-side of different times when you were learning and using the peak strategies for where you're at and your progress, there are times when it just soared. And when I could get my progress to increase, I would get more attention, more focus. It'd be more exciting than it was, So getting a open-ended course in arts production and design that gives you many different perspectives, because again, having a team full of people that all learn the same way or communicate the same way could seem effective at first, which is why there's a lot of companies that use inside artists, or like production companies that all but having different people on board is almost always a good thing that I think everyone could learn from, to have different perspectives and to get them playing off of each other and bouncing ideas back and forth. Because if you have two different master artists who've never worked before, with signature styles, and then they start doing each other's work, but in their own style, imagine Elisa Ivanova and Yoji Shinkawa doing design on something, designing the characters and his dynamic style and her articulate, emotional The way that she renders characters, and his is super stylish, but with respect for each other as they break into the same project. It'd be fucking awesome, right? They'd have the coolest characters ever. And having things like subtle articulation of motion or complex rendering of different textures and fabrics, they both do that well, but in very different ways. And that'd be amazing. You're talking about ways to expand the design into ways we've never seen. With the advent of AI becoming bigger and bigger and stronger all the time, you know, it'd be looking amazing. Is you want to find ways to create non-generic designs and ideas and design language for your games. It's become like a lot of what Feng Zhu says is like mostly you'll be rendering designs that people are expecting. They're a little bit different from existing designs. And to prevent your work from being generic because of that, there's the deconstruction of dragons into dogs and lions and birds and all these different things, reptiles. But even still, like, that has all become something that can be automated to the press of a button. And when Feng Zhu was giving those demonstrations, I thought all of the things that he did that were more wild style, they were unlike things you'd ever seen before, and he freestyles a whole bunch of them back to back to back. I thought those were awesome, and I wanted to see an RPG built on those things. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna make it, Feng. Someday we're gonna make a MMORPG or something. Even just funding a pretty generic one that's just like an effective MMO, but with really, really blown designs from all over the place. Like for the designers to be able to be like, no, use the really imaginative ones, use the ones that you put your personality into. And just with that, just having an imaginative, fun, courageous design that was built on passion, I feel like the other people that made the game might step up to bat a little bit. And they're like, well, no, this MMO is like actually special now. It's cool. It's needed. Same with the writers. Like if you can have a unified vision and focus. And I mean, you could throw that in there too. Like it could start as a concept to create imaginative designs and a cool workspace for designers, you know, to expand the ecosystem of design. I feel like other MMOs might get more creative too. It can be an example of this. But if it starts there, you know, you think of ways that it can also be successful to have the greatest possible impact. Because if you used imaginative designs and it was kind of a sleeper hit that everyone loved, that's good. That's good for the ecosystem of design. But like if you could do it where it was really, really effective and creating new elements became a structure in the whole production process, maybe not all of them hit, but enough of them hit, and you keep enough things that are pretty tried and true to almost guarantee your success. And when you do that, then you can experiment that much more. You get that much more freedom of space. If you've kind of checked in what will be a success, then you can think, what is the passion? What is a wild card that might be like, you know, 1 out of 5 times it goes through, but when it does, it's 10 times the value of the same action, right? Something that could be timeless or priceless, or maybe it doesn't work, but you'd pick most times the safe path. But keeping enough space in your project where you can, you know, also throw in things that are genuinely interesting to you as a storyteller, as a creator, as a designer. That's cool. Okay, this is kind of like streetwear stuff. Okay, we'll get into just a drawing demonstration. Oh man, that was just a talking demonstration. It's not bad. I mean, honestly, it's only 15 minutes. I mean, I just wish I'd been drawing on frame the whole time. Oh my god. Maybe we could use this audio for a different video? I mean, I'm sure we could. Thinking just about design for a minute. That's cool. We'll do then a smaller rendition. Longer rendition? I mean, that'd be a pretty cool longer coat. That's cool. That's like a different coat for sure, but it could be within the same series. Yeah, within the same series for sure. Doing miniature designs is like you can really take ambitious choices. Some Fullmetal Alchemist music, yeah. Dante. No, the whole forearms being like a different fabric or color, ambitious. And down here, the same length on the bottom, really cool. Signature. Have to be like stylish materials. And the things I'm talking about can be used for anything. It doesn't have to be clothing design. When you learn things effectively, you switch things up, you integrate your personality into it, you follow things that are interesting to you, while at the same time doing things that are proven effective. Use good strategies. Find the strategies that are in your personality type, that are in alignment with what you want to create and your element, and you'll be working with a multiplicative boost. I learned the word multiplicative playing Final Fantasy VIII, which is a really good example of it, because the way you junction Guardian Force materials, you know, you have an element, you equip it to one of your stats, and you get a multiplicative boost. And some things in life are just like that. Like you change your strategy, or you change the energy behind your strategy. Your technique and energy line up for the first time. And you'll be going in and doing 2 or 3 times as much damage instantly. You could have leveled up like 1,000,000 times, or you changed the strat. And that's so important. That's something that Final Fantasy VIII really celebrates, that they do really well. Okay, we're gonna do a bunch more thumbnails now. All right. Well, we'll go peace and love.